The apron was folded on top of my closed work laptop like it belonged there. My husband Grant stood beside the kitchen island with my company badge in his hand, turning it over between his fingers, while his mother slid a handwritten chore list across the counter and said, "Now that you're done playing office, you can help around here." I remember staring at the first line, "Deep clean guest bathroom," while my phone kept buzzing with locked account notifications from the job I had not quit. Then Grant smiled and said, "HR already accepted it, Leah. Don't embarrass yourself." My name is Leah Whitmore. I'm 33 years old. By sunrise, I would learn that my resignation had not only been sent without me, it had been sent from inside my own house, using a login trail my husband never thought anyone would check. I worked as a compliance analyst for Alder and Voss Insurance, which sounds boring until you understand what it meant in my life. It meant a salary I earned myself, health insurance I controlled, retirement contributions in my own name, a calendar full of meetings Grant could not interrupt just because he decided dinner needed to be made at 5:30. For 8 years, I had been the organized one in our marriage. I handled the mortgage payments, kept digital copies of our tax returns, renewed the car registrations, tracked our insurance policies, and remembered every password except the ones Grant insisted on changing and then forgetting. He liked the benefits of my competence. He did not like that my competence came with independence. His mother, Marlene Whitmore, moved in with us after a hip surgery that turned into a lifestyle. At first, I tried to be kind. I made casseroles. I rearranged our downstairs den so she would not have to climb stairs. I drove her to physical therapy when Grant had client lunches that somehow always involved golf. But the longer she stayed, the more our house became a courtroom, where I was always the defendant. "She works from home," Marlene would say, as if my job were a hobby. "She can throw in laundry." Grant would never correct her. He would just look at me over his coffee mug with that soft, disappointed expression he used when he wanted obedience to look like compromise. The week everything happened, I had just been promoted to senior compliance reviewer. It came with a raise, a bigger caseload, and access to internal audit systems Grant joked were too much power for one woman. I thought he was teasing. On Monday night, he asked if I could pause all the corporate stuff for a few months to focus on the house and his mother. I laughed because I honestly believed it was not a serious request. He did not laugh. By Wednesday, he had started using words like family duty and supportive wife. By Thursday, Marlene was leaving newspaper clippings on the breakfast table about women leaving stressful careers to restore balance at home. On Friday at 4:17 p.m., while I was finishing a review of suspicious claim authorizations, my screen froze. Then my email signed out. Then my badge access app flashed red. Account disabled. I called IT immediately. The help desk technician sounded uncomfortable before he even finished verifying my employee ID. "Leah," he said carefully, "your separation has already been processed." "My what?" "Your voluntary resignation, effective today at 5. I stood up so fast my chair hit the wall behind me. I didn't resign. There was a pause. A real pause. The kind where someone on the other end of a recorded corporate line realizes the script no longer fits. He lowered his voice. "You need to contact HR. I can't reverse a termination workflow once it's approved." I found the email in my personal inbox 2 minutes later, forwarded from my manager, subject line, "Wishing you well." The resignation message was short, polished, and cold. After careful consideration, I have decided to step away from my role at Alder and Voss to focus on personal family responsibilities. I appreciate the opportunities I've been given and ask that my last day be today. It was signed with my full legal name, not Leah, like I signed every work email. Leah Danielle Whitmore. Only banks, tax forms, and my husband use that version. When Grant came home, I was standing in the kitchen with the email printed in my hand because some part of me needed paper. I needed to see the lie as an object. He did not deny it. That was the first thing that made my body go cold. He put his keys in the ceramic bowl by the door, loosened his tie, and said, "Before you panic, you should know I did this for us." Marlene came in behind him, carrying grocery bags, looked at the paper in my hand, and smiled like she had been waiting for the curtain to rise. "You were burning yourself out," Grant said, "and Mom needs consistency." "You sent a resignation email pretending to be me." "I sent an email from your account," he said. "There's a difference." There wasn't. But at that moment, I was too stunned to argue law, policy, ethics, or basic human decency. I just kept looking at his face, searching for shame. There was none. Then he reached into one of the grocery bags and pulled out a pale blue apron still folded in plastic. Marlene took out the chore list. That night, I slept in the guest room with my phone under my pillow, refreshing my inbox until my eyes burned. At 6:42 the next morning, an email appeared from Alder and Voss Human Resources. "Leah, please join the attached video call at 8 a.m. Do not discuss this matter with anyone in your household before the meeting." At 8:03, an HR director I had met only twice shared her screen. The first thing she showed me was the login record. The resignation had been sent from my home IP address at 4:02 p.m., while I was still logged into a secure claims audit portal. And then she said, "We have reason to believe your account was accessed by someone physically near your device." The HR director's name was Simone Reyes. She had the calm voice of someone trained to handle disasters without blinking. On the video call with her were my manager, Owen, and a man I did not recognize until Simone introduced him as part of corporate security. "Leah," Simone said, "before we go further, are you alone?" I looked toward the guest room door. I had shoved a chair under the handle even though it didn't lock. "Yes." "Can anyone hear us?" "No, I have headphones in." "Good. We need to establish something clearly. Did you write or authorize the resignation email sent yesterday at 4:02 p.m.? "No." "Did you give anyone permission to access your company email?" "No." "Did you leave your work laptop unlocked?" I swallowed. "I was logged in. I got up to take a call from my doctor's office. Maybe 4 minutes. The laptop was on the dining table." Corporate security leaned forward. "Was anyone else home?" "My mother-in-law." "And your husband?" "Not then. He came home later." The security man exchanged a look with Simone. She clicked to another screen. A timeline appeared. 3:51 p.m. Active session, compliance portal. 3:58 p.m. User inactivity begins. 4:01 p.m. Outlook opened from desktop client. 4:02 p.m. Resignation email sent to manager and HR intake. 4:03 p.m. Deleted from sent items. 4:04 p.m. Deleted items emptied. 4:05 p.m. Session resumes in compliance portal. My stomach turned. Whoever sent it had tried to clean up behind themselves, then left me to keep working like nothing happened. Owen rubbed both hands over his face. "Leah, when I got it, I thought it sounded strange. Too formal. But it came from you, and HR had the form processed before I could call." "I didn't even know," I said. My voice cracked, and I hated that Grant had put me in a position where I sounded like I was begging for my own life back. Simone's expression softened, but only briefly. "We paused final separation at 7:10 this morning. Your employment is not terminated. Your access remains locked for protection, not discipline." I covered my mouth with one hand. It was not relief exactly. Relief would have been clean. This was something more jagged. Corporate security said, "We have one more question. Has anyone in your household pressured you to resign?" I thought of Grant standing under the kitchen lights, telling me not to embarrass myself. Marlene sliding over the chore list, the apron on my laptop. "Yes," I said. Simone nodded once, as if she had expected it. "Then we are treating this as unauthorized access and potential coercion. We need you not to confront anyone yet." A laugh escaped me, brittle and ugly. He already confessed. All three faces on the screen stilled. Owen said, "Who confessed?" "My husband, Grant. He said he sent it from my account. He said he did it for us? Simone's eyes sharpened. Did you record that conversation? No. Did anyone else hear it? His mother. She approved. Corporate security typed quickly. Leah, I'm going to ask something practical. Do you feel physically safe in the home? That question changed the air in the room, because until someone asks you that directly, you can pretend the answer is complicated. Grant had never hit me. He had never shoved me into a wall or thrown a glass near my head. He used calmness like a weapon. He took keys, so I wouldn't drive upset. He stood in doorways when he wanted me to stop talking. He read my texts and called it transparency. Was I physically safe? I don't know, I whispered. Simone said, Do you have somewhere else you can go today? My sister lived 2 hours away. My closest friend was traveling. My father was in assisted living and had enough to carry. I can get a hotel. Use a personal card he cannot access, she said immediately. Do not use a shared account. Do you have your personal documents? Yes. Most are in a firebox. Can you leave without alerting them? I looked around the guest room. My work bag sat by the dresser. My purse was under the bed. The firebox was in the closet behind winter coats Grant never touched because he said that closet was my chaos. Then came a knock at the door. 3 soft taps. Leah? Grant called. Who are you talking to? My blood went cold. On screen, Simone lifted one finger to her lips. I muted myself. Grant tried the handle. The chair scraped slightly, but held. Open the door, he said, still gentle. Mom made breakfast. We need to discuss your new routine. My new routine. I stared at Simone. She mouthed, Stay calm. I'm getting dressed, I called. You've been in there a while. I'll be down in 10 minutes. A pause. Then his voice lowered. Don't start making calls, Leah. You'll only make this harder. His footsteps retreated. I unmuted with shaking fingers. Corporate security said, We heard that. Simone's voice was no longer soft. Leah, pack essentials now. Keep this call on. We're staying with you until you're out of the house. I moved like my bones belonged to someone else. Simone stayed on the screen, silent except for short instructions. Documents first. I opened the closet and dragged out the small fireproof box. Birth certificate, social security card, passport, marriage certificate, car title, thankfully in my name. A folder with statements from the savings account I had opened before I married Grant and never told him about. Medication, Simone said. I grabbed my thyroid pills from the bathroom drawer, then froze when I saw the blue apron hanging from the towel hook. Sometime during the night, one of them had put it there, like a flag, like they had conquered me. Something inside me steadied. I packed 2 changes of clothes, chargers, my personal laptop, and the flash drive I kept in a pencil cup. I almost left my wedding ring on the dresser, but Simone saw me touch it. Don't make symbolic gestures inside the house, she said. Just leave. Downstairs, Marlene was humming. The smell of bacon filled the kitchen, warm and ordinary, which made the whole thing feel more insane. Grant sat at the table in his work shirt with no tie, reading something on his phone. My company laptop was beside him, open. My steps faltered. He looked up and smiled. There she is. I tightened my hand around my purse strap. My phone was tucked in my jacket pocket, camera facing out, the video call still active. I need some air, I said. Marlene turned from the stove. Air? Before breakfast? There are dishes soaking. Grant's eyes moved to my bag. What's in there? Wallet, phone. Looks heavy. I kept walking toward the entryway. His chair scraped back. Leah. I reached for my keys in the bowl by the door. They were gone. I knew before I touched the ceramic. The bowl held Grant's keys, Marlene's reading glasses, and a roll of antacids. Not mine. Grant came up behind me, not close enough to touch, close enough to block the hall. You're upset, he said. You shouldn't drive. I turned slowly. Where are my keys? In my office. Get them. Ask nicely. Marlene clicked her tongue. This is exactly what we talked about, Grant. Defiance. The word hit me so hard I almost laughed. Defiance. Not fear, not betrayal, not a crime. Defiance. My phone vibrated once in my pocket. A text preview flashed from Simone. We are contacting local police for a standby. Stay visible if possible. Grant glanced down. Who's texting you? My sister. Show me. No. His face changed. It was subtle. The husband mask did not fall off all at once. It slipped at the edges. Leah, he said, you do not get to create drama because I made a decision you were too emotional to make yourself. I heard Simone's voice faintly through my earbud. Do not engage. But I looked at my work laptop on the kitchen table. Did you use that again? Grant's eyes flicked toward it. That was answer enough, he said. I was checking whether they sent anything ridiculous. My stomach dropped. You tried to get into my locked account? It's our household. Your job affects us. No, my job affected me. Marlene snorted. Listen to her, like a teenager. A sharp knock sounded at the front door. Grant stiffened. Then another knock. Police department, a voice called. Is Leah Whitmore inside? For 1 second, nobody moved. Then Grant smiled again, but this time it trembled. What did you do? I walked past him before he could decide whether to stop me. He reached out, fingers grazing my sleeve. The door opened from the other side because I had not deadbolted it. 2 officers stood on the porch, a woman and a man. The female officer looked directly at me. Are you Leah? Yes. Do you want to leave this residence? Yes. Grant stepped forward. This is a misunderstanding. My wife is having an anxiety episode. The officer did not look away from me. Do you have your keys? No, he took them. Grant exhaled like I had disappointed him in public. I put them away because she was hysterical. The male officer said, Sir, please retrieve the keys. Grant's jaw tightened. Marlene appeared behind him, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Officers, my son is a good man. She lost her job yesterday and she's lashing out. I said clearly, I did not lose my job. Someone sent a resignation from my work account without my permission. The female officer's expression changed just enough to tell me she understood the difference. Grant disappeared into his office and returned with my keys. He dropped them into my palm instead of handing them to me, a final little punishment. As I stepped onto the porch, he said, If you walk out now, don't expect to just come back. I turned. For the first time since the apron, I smiled. Grant, I said, I'm not coming back for permission. Behind me, Simone's voice came through my earbud. Leah, when you're safe, we need to discuss the second login. I drove with the police cruiser behind me for the first mile, then pulled into the parking lot of a pharmacy 3 streets over because my hands were shaking too hard to keep going. The moment I parked, I locked the doors. Then I cried. Not delicate tears, not movie tears, the kind that bend you over the steering wheel and make breathing feel like work. Simone stayed on the call. She did not tell me to calm down. She waited until I could speak. What second login? I asked finally. Corporate security answered. His name was Victor Chen. I had missed that earlier. After your account was disabled, there was an attempted access at 9:38 p.m. from a personal device, not your issued laptop. My personal laptop? No, a Windows desktop, same home IP address. Grant's office computer. I stared through the windshield at the pharmacy doors sliding open and closed for strangers buying vitamins and shampoo while my marriage collapsed in a parking lot. What did he try to access? Your company email first, then our benefits portal. My benefits? Simone leaned closer to her camera. Specifically, dependent coverage and beneficiary information. The crying stopped. Completely. Grant had not just tried to take my job, he had gone looking for what else was attached to me. Victor said, he failed because your credentials had already been locked, but the attempt matters. Owen looked sick. Leah, I'm so sorry. I believed him. Owen had always been decent in the vague way managers could be decent when nothing was on fire. Now everything was on fire, and he looked like he wanted to hand me a bucket. Simone said, "Here is what we're doing. Your resignation is voided. You will be placed on paid administrative protection leave for 3 business days while we secure your accounts and document the incident. This is not disciplinary." "Thank you," I whispered. "We also recommend filing a police report for unauthorized computer access and identity misuse. Our security team can provide logs to law enforcement with proper request." A police report against my husband. The words sat in my chest like a stone. Then I pictured Marlene's chore list, Grant's hand hovering near my sleeve, my keys hidden in his office, the apron hanging in the bathroom like a verdict. "Okay," I said, "I'll do it." By noon, I was checked into a hotel under my maiden name, Leah Donnelly, using the emergency credit card from the bottom of my purse. Simone had advised me to turn off location sharing, change my Apple ID password, and call my bank. Victor walked me through resetting every important login from my phone. Grant called 17 times. I did not answer. His texts changed shape over the afternoon. At first, "Come home. We need to talk like adults." Then, "You humiliated me in front of the neighbors." Then, "My mother is crying because of you." Then, "You're making yourself look unstable." At 3:14 p.m., "If you involve police, you will regret it." I screenshotted everything. At 4:30, an officer met me in the hotel lobby to take my statement. I told her about the resignation, the confession, the keys, the attempted benefits login. I showed her the messages. She photographed the apron and chore list because I had shoved both into my bag without remembering doing it. When she left, I sat on the hotel bed surrounded by evidence of a life I had mistaken for marriage. My sister, Camille, arrived after dark with a duffel bag, takeout soup, and the expression of a woman prepared to commit felonies on my behalf. "I never liked him," she said, hugging me too hard. "You said he was polite." "I said he had polite teeth. That is different." I laughed for the first time in 2 days, and it came out broken. Camille stayed the night in the second bed. At 6 a.m., my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Leah, this is Daniel Price, outside counsel for Alder and Voss. HR shared that you may be willing to provide a sworn statement. There is an urgent development involving your husband's email to our legal department." I sat up so fast Camille woke. "What?" she mumbled. I read the message twice. Then a new email appeared from Simone. Subject, "Immediate call requested." The preview line made my pulse spike. "Grant Whitmore has contacted the company claiming spousal authority over your employment decisions." Camille leaned over my shoulder. "Oh," she said softly, "he put it in writing." At 7 o'clock sharp, I joined the call. Simone was there. Victor was there. Daniel Price was there, silver-haired and unsmiling. Daniel said, "Leah, your husband sent a demand letter at 5:52 this morning." "A demand letter?" "He claims you are mentally unwell, that your resignation should stand, and that any attempt to reinstate you constitutes interference in your marriage." My mouth went dry. Daniel's expression did not change. He also attached what he calls a household management agreement bearing your signature. I blinked. "A what?" Simone shared her screen. There it was, a 1-page document stating I agreed to leave the workforce, manage domestic duties, transfer my paycheck into Grant's sole account until separation, and defer major decisions to him as head of household. At the bottom was my signature, except it wasn't mine. And beside me, Camille whispered, "Leah, that's from Dad's power of attorney file." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Daniel Price said, very carefully, "Ms. Donnelly, are you saying this signature was copied from another legal document?" Camille was already digging through her phone. After Dad's stroke, Leah had power of attorney for his medical paperwork. Grant helped scan some forms because our printer was broken. I remembered that day with a clarity that made me nauseous. Grant standing at the scanner in his office, me signing forms at the kitchen table, him saying, "Don't worry, I'll make digital copies." I had thanked him. I had thanked him for stealing my signature. Daniel's face hardened. "Leah, I need you to say this aloud for the record. Did you sign this household management agreement?" "No." "Did you authorize anyone to place your signature on it?" "No." "Did you agree to resign, transfer income, or defer decisions to your husband?" "No." Victor said, "We can examine the PDF metadata. If he created it from a scanned signature, there may be artifacts." Simone looked like she was holding back fury with both hands. "Your employment remains active. That document has no effect here." "But it had an effect on me. Not legally, not professionally, personally. Because there is a difference between realizing someone wants to control you and realizing they have been building the cage for years." I filed the police report that afternoon with the forged document added. Daniel sent a preservation letter to Grant ordering him not to delete devices, emails, or files connected to the unauthorized access. Grant responded by calling me 12 more times, then texting, "You have no idea what you're doing." For the first time, I did not tremble when I read it. I replied once, "Neither did you." Then I blocked him. The investigation moved faster than I expected because Grant had made the mistake arrogant people always make. He assumed everyone else was too stupid to check. The company logs showed the resignation sent, while my secure audit session remained active. His desktop showed searches for "Can husband resign for wife?" spousal authority employment, and domestic management contract template. The forged agreement had been created 2 days before the resignation, using an image file named Leah Signature Scan. Marlene tried to tell the police I was dramatic. Grant tried to say I had asked him to help. Then Daniel produced Grant's email to Alder and Voss, where he had written, in his own words, "As her husband, I made the necessary decision to end her employment for the stability of our home." Necessary. That word followed him into every room after that. Alder and Voss reinstated my access the next week with a new security token, new credentials, and an apology letter I kept in a folder labeled "Proof I Was Not Crazy." Owen moved me to a confidential project temporarily so Grant could not guess my schedule. Simone checked on me every Friday for a month. I hired a divorce attorney named Helena Park, who read the chore list, the forged agreement, and Grant's texts without changing expression. When she finished, she said, "Men like this rely on women feeling embarrassed. We are going to make him explain himself in rooms with fluorescent lighting." And she did. Grant lost his polished calm during the first hearing. He interrupted the judge twice. He called my career a family asset. He said his mother depended on me. The judge looked over her glasses and said, "Mr. Whitmore, your mother is not married to your wife." I nearly cried right there. The temporary order gave me exclusive use of my car, protected my separate account, and barred Grant from contacting my employer. The criminal case took longer, but the charges for unauthorized access and forgery did not disappear just because he wore a suit and used words like miscommunication. 6 months later, I moved into a small apartment with crooked floors, huge windows, and no guest room for anyone's mother. Camille helped me carry boxes. My first purchase was not practical. It was a bright yellow chair for the corner by the window, where I drank coffee before work and watched the city wake up without asking anyone's permission. By the following spring, the divorce was final. I kept my job. I kept my name, Leah Donnelly. I kept the firebox, the emergency card, and the lesson that love without respect is just ownership wearing a wedding ring. On my last day in the hotel before I moved into the apartment, I took the pale blue apron out of my evidence bag. For months, I had kept it because I thought I needed to remember what they tried to make me. But standing in my new kitchen, sunlight pouring over unpacked dishes, I realized I did not need the object anymore. I cut it down the middle with kitchen scissors. Then I tied one strip around a pot of basil on my windowsill, not as a warning, but as proof. Something meant to bind me had become something green, alive, and mine. If this story reminded you of someone who tried to take your choices and call it love, tell me in the comments what you would have done when HR turned that screen around, and subscribe so you don't miss the next story. If this story stayed with you, tell me in the comments what you would have done in my place. And if you want more stories like this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel.